Just to let you know, we're going to start in just a couple of minutes here, waiting on a couple more people to join, and then we'll get started. So thank you for joining. We'll get started in just a bit. Hey everybody, I'm going to get started, if that's okay. Just to introduce myself, my name is Stefo Medikidis, work for CloudStrategies. We are going to be recording this call, so I just wanted to give some of our attendees a heads up about that. And also, just to give you some idea of an agenda and what we're going to be doing today. We're going to talk today about cloud computing and specifically Microsoft Windows Intune, a cloud service that we're going to get pretty deep into. We also want to tell you a little bit about who we are, CloudStrategies, and give you an overview of the cloud market. It's confusing, it's ever changing. We want to help you understand it, make sense for you, and really give you an idea of the value of cloud computing and what CloudStrategies can bring. So I'm going to get started now. So thank you for joining. Today we have on the phone as well, besides myself, we have Mark Gordon. Mark is our Director of Architecture and Strategy. He, like myself, are Microsoft alum. I was there for 7 years. Mark was there. Gosh, Mark, you were there for 14 years. Both of us have invested deeply in cloud. We believe in it. We believe in it as an evolutionary type of process here, meaning we think that you're going to get to the cloud, and it's sort of our job to help understand what your requirements are, tell you a little bit about what cloud computing is out there from Microsoft and what might be a good solution for you, where to start, especially because there's a lot of questions around cloud, and I guess as consultants, our job is to help you build a sound cloud strategy to help you procure the right licensing packages from Microsoft, and then to help you with migration services. That's really our core business. So without any further ado, I'm going to get started. Just to give you an idea, I'm going to go through a few slides here. We want to get pretty quickly into sharing the desktop. Mark is going to share his desktop, share the Intune console. It's a very visual tool, so we want to get into that quickly. So let's go through. Also, I want to encourage you to, if you have a question during the presentation, feel free to chime in, unmute yourself, and step up and ask a question, or type it into the chat window. We definitely want this to be interactive. We want to address your particular needs, and so if there's something that we're not covering, or you'd like to hear as well, that would be a great thing. We really like interaction. Speaking of interaction, I put up a slide. If you don't mind, please let us know how your weather is here, wherever you are at. I'd love to know a little bit about where you're at, what you're experiencing. I know I'm in Seattle, raining buckets, but to give you an idea here, this is just a nice way to kind of understand who you're at and who you are and where you might be at, and get you to interact a little bit with us. These end up making the best type of meetings. Thanks for that. Clear but nice, it looks like. I like that a lot. So let's get into the slides here. Just a little bit about who we are as CloudStrategies. We are entirely based on cloud computing. We don't do any on-premise work. As I told you, both Mark and I are Microsoft alum. We have a lot of Microsoft folks, ex-Microsoft folks at CloudStrategies, and we've invested heavily into Microsoft Office 365, cloud tools like Windows Intune. We have a relationship with Rackspace Communications, and so we're all in with cloud solutions, hence the name CloudStrategies. Today we're talking about Intune. That's what I mentioned earlier. That's a service that we're going to get into here in just a second, and we're going to get very quickly into a demonstration of the tool. I think, though, just to get started, to say, we hear a lot from our customers that, okay, what is a cloud all about? What does that mean to me? How do I even get started? How can we leverage the cloud? What's the best technology? What's best of breed? And that's what we want to help you with. So after this call, our hope is that we whet your appetite with this to where you want to meet with us individually, talk particular about your environment, your initiatives, and we can help you figure out a good way to get started with cloud, because it's a big market. There's a lot of different solutions out there, and we want to, help you meet your requirements and save money. That's really the whole idea behind cloud. What we do is we deliver cloud services from Microsoft and strategies around deploying these services. So with our help, we'll help you kind of make the cloud less cloudy, if you don't mind the cliche, and understand how you can really free up both, capital and human resources using the cloud. And essentially what we're hearing from our customers, cloud really lets you focus on your core strengths. You're a business, so you no longer have to be an Exchange expert, no longer have to be a PC management security expert, say, when it comes to something like Intune. So, besides saving money, it allows you to really focus on your core strengths. Our strengths are the cloud, as I said. We're a gold certified partner. We're a Tier 3 cloud champ, which means we're a go-to partner for cloud for Microsoft. We've done now close to 250 deployments, so we understand the market. We understand potential obstacles. We understand how to get you started. We like customers to sort of walk before they run with cloud, if you will, to start with picking off one particular aspect of your business that might be suited for the cloud. We're headquartered, just to give you an idea, in New Jersey. This year we won Microsoft's Cloud Partner of the Year in New York. So we're highly regarded and specialized in the cloud. The benefits, there's a ton of benefits to moving things to the cloud, essentially reducing the IT cost and continually having the best of breed. That's probably the best, of having the best services quicker and less expensive. This is what our customers are seeing. So that's the reason to go to the cloud. The cloud then from Microsoft, to give you an idea, because you probably heard of some of these terms, Office 365 is a brand. And that brand, underneath that brand, includes email, collaboration, instant messaging, all of these tools, things like Microsoft web applications. There's all different kinds of cloud options from Microsoft. Essentially what they're doing is they are now building applications with cloud in mind from the beginning, not really making changes to current on-premise solutions, but building these services up from the cloud. And that's where Intune comes in. Intune, which I'm going to show you, is desktop management, PC security, PC management in the cloud. It's a new service, and something that we want to focus on today. So here we are with Intune, and Mark, if you don't mind kind of giving a high-level overview of Intune, and then maybe getting right into the to the console, please.
Excellent. So just to make this real, Ernie, it looks like you're our only customer attendee today, so we can really focus this on you and make sure that we answer your specific questions. Do you mind telling us just a little bit about your interest in Intune and what it is you hope to get out of today's session?
I wanted to get more information and see, the actual Intune interface.
Okay.
I already use Office 365 for, for all of our Office product pieces. And then when it comes to, we use Rackspace as well for services that we do as well. So, I wanted to see what the Intune interface actually looks like and how that works.
Excellent. And what is specific things are you looking for Intune to do for your company? I just want to make sure I catch those for sure.
Basically, the remote management aspects of it. So, being able to make sure that, my users' PCs are up to date with their antivirus so I can try to monitor what type of applications are installed or anything like that, making sure the PCs are up to date. So basically that's everything, because everything that my company does, we all work from home. So, we've got employees that are all over the place, and no one really sits in an office. So it's tougher to manage PCs when you're not all in one place.
Yes, it can be, absolutely can be. And how many PCs are we talking about?
Currently, I believe we're at 27 right now.
Okay, that's a really nice number to begin to manage in Intune. Clearly, you can do a lot more than that. If you only have a couple or three, it's less of an issue. But 27, you're probably in that place where if you're one guy and you're trying to keep those all up to date, you're going to be having trouble unless you have some tools to help. So I think you're clearly in a good position to take advantage of it. And we'll just show you a little bit about what it does. How much familiarity do you have with Intune? If you looked at it at all, or where do we need to start about your understanding of what it is?
I mean, I looked at Intune from the Microsoft website, so I went through and I was reading some research, on their site. I've also, at one point in the very, very early beginnings of Intune, I actually was in the beta for the thing, but I didn't get to spend too much time playing with it.
Okay. Well, we have a subscription up here, and be happy to kind of show you how that works. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Let me know when you see it.
Okay.
And we'll go from there. So let me know when you see Montana, and we'll proceed.
Yeah, I see it now.
Excellent. So I guess the first thing I want to say is that it works from a variety of browsers. Here it is in Firefox, and I could go through the whole demo in Firefox if I cared to. Also works in Internet Explorer 9. I think it works in 7, 8, and 9, in fact. But I'm pretty familiar with Internet Explorer 9, so just going to go through and do it from here if you like. Just a little bit about Intune. It does all the things I think you've probably heard about and Steffo talked about, but I want to just reiterate them. It allows you to manage patches. It automatically manages the patches of all Microsoft software on the desktop, and it's a lot like SUS. Have you ever used SUS, the Microsoft update package, to manage your updates?
I have not, but I have seen it, so I do know what you're talking about.
So it's a lot like SUS in that the full set of packages of updates are available to you. You can choose them. The things that are different it's very easy to target specific machines or groups of machines. It's very easy to do unattended installs. It also has a reporting feature, so you know exactly what has installed and what hasn't. So it goes quite a bit beyond SUS. The targeting is also very good. The other thing in terms of patches is you can actually update other patches besides Microsoft patches here. It doesn't come with those already installed, but you can go get those from the other manufacturers and upload them. So that's pretty nice. The other thing that's radically different is that you can actually deploy software. So if you have an application that you need to deploy throughout your enterprise, you can upload that and just deploy that, and Intune will actually get the bits down to the machine and execute your setup files. And you obviously need to have your answer files or whatever process you have for the silent install. But once you have that, Intune will get that out to your clients and install that. So I'll just jump in. That's what you really wanted to see. So I have a couple of subscriptions here. You can have multiple subscriptions that you as an administrator can administer. And we'll just go into this one because it has a few more machines in it. We'll take a look at the console and what's in there. First thing we're going to see is kind of a dashboard. It's going to tell us about the malware, the updates, what problems we're having on what computers. It's going to tell us about, the agent health, which is pretty nice. I have the ability here just to see remote assistance. Looks like I have one computer with some low disk space. Actually, I have multiple computers with low disk space. I don't know what I'm showing up here, but anyway, that's just a little bit about the dashboard, if you will, here. Let's go into computers. And first thing we see is that we have a bunch of categories, and I can actually put computers in groups. I can group those computers. I can have subgroups if I want to, and I can have computers be in more than one group. So this grouping is really nice because it allows me to target those machines. If like here you see I have a test lab and an Intune lab. The machines in this Intune lab, the one machine, are my guinea pigs for new Intune features and installation and removal and those sorts of things. I have a test lab with a couple of machines in it that I deploy patches and software to test. And then I have the rest of my machines that are basically everybody that is actually getting work done and making money for the company here that I wouldn't want to have the same policies apply to necessarily, or the same updates, right? I want to test those before I send them out. So it's really easy to move. I don't think see if we have any, no, don't have any unassigned computers. When a computer comes in and registers, it's going to be unassigned because it doesn't have any groups. Here's all the computers in my production environment, and I can see a dashboard there. I can go in and actually see all of those machines if I want to, and it gives me quite a bit of information just right off the bat. One of the nice things that I can see is here's who's actually logged onto that machine, so I can see the user names that are logged onto those machines. It kind of helps me determine exactly what machine that is in certain cases. But I get a lot of information about the disk space, memory, all of that stuff here, and I can drill in if I want to know more about a particular PC. Let's find one here. Actually, let's find one down here that I can mess with. Some of these I've been messing with a little bit. You may see some interesting alerts and errors just because I've been messing with these. But here I can come down and look at the machine, and I can actually look at the updates on that machine. I can look at any malware that's happened on that machine, all the alerts, get a hardware inventory on that machine, which is really nice for troubleshooting. This gives me a lot of information that can be just a lifesaver if you're troubleshooting. Look at the software installed on that machine, so I get a full software report, and the actual software reports uses Microsoft's database of all the software that they've seen, and there's tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of different executables that Microsoft knows how to identify, not just by the file name or date or properties, but actually using the checksums in the file themselves. They can, even if somebody renames Quake to something else that sounds more businessy, you can still see that they have Quake installed on their machine, and it'll know what that is, not just from the file name, but actually from the executable itself. It detects that. So that's pretty nice. We'll talk about policy here in a minute, but we have the ability to set a lot of policy, security policy for the firewall, as well as policy for how Intune is going to manage itself on those machines. We'll see a little bit more about that. But those are the kinds of things I can see on an individual computer basis and drill in and get a lot of information. So if I wanted to go get some information about a particular computer, this is probably where I would go to get that. Any questions on this part of it?
No, that all looks pretty straightforward.
If you've done system management before, this is a pretty simple, actually it's very nicely simple way of looking at that. So the second thing we'll move on to is updates. And we can see all the updates that are out there and ready to be installed and available. Obviously, a lot of these are not going to apply because I don't have a lot of Windows Server Itanium desktop systems in my environment, so there's not a lot of those that were needed or installed. But you can resort this and see exactly what was installed. There's no more needed because they've all been installed at this point, but you can see exactly which updates have been installed. I can make those updates mandatory, so that they are forced to run, or I can just approve them. If they're mandatory, they're going to go across all of the computer groups. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But you can see all the different kinds of updates that Microsoft publishes. And if you've looked at SUS before, this probably looks somewhat familiar. There's some things that go beyond what you would get in SUS here, but a lot of things that look very similar. So let's look at so that's all the Microsoft pieces, and Microsoft publishes those, and those automatically show up here. Let's say you have let's say Adobe, and you want to manage and maintain Adobe, and there's a new patch for Adobe, and you can't get your users to reliably install it, and they keep getting problems because of it. You can go up here. Once I find that, I would go and I would find the update from Adobe, find out exactly how to run that update so it would be a silent install and work in the background. And I go in here. And I won't go through this whole process because it's a little boring, but we'll show you. You actually look for a file that you want to upload, and once you upload that file, let's just see if we can find a so I find the files that I need to get out to the machine. I decide exactly what to call this and where to put it. And now I can decide I only want this to work on 32-bit systems, and this only really works on Windows 7 systems. And I can go look for a rule to see if a registry key exists. I can tell if this has already been installed, so I won't have to install it again. But this is how I would tell whether or not it's been installed, so I'm not going to try and install it if it's already there. Let's use default here. And I can also go and see what other software is there. So if I had rolled out Adobe, and we'll get to rolling out software in a minute, but if I had rolled out Adobe already, I could go and I could look at the software that's already there. I'm going to pretend that this Foxit reader was Adobe and make this dependent upon that. So if that was already installed and it sees that it's there, it's going to know it needs to update based on the software that's there. So we have command line arguments we can put in for the installs. That helps us get that to install exactly right. And we also have the ability to get return codes, and that'll pump back into the console to let us know whether it succeeded or failed. Anyway, I'm not going to do this because it's going to take quite a while to upload those. You actually get with Intune, you get 20 gigs of storage space. That's for your applications and updates that you upload yourself. And you can buy additional storage space at $2 a gig per month if you need it. So that's kind of how that works, how the updates work. The updates, I can actually go and I guess I should describe this a little bit. So if I find a group of updates, obviously some of these have already been improved, or they wouldn't have installed, but I can actually approve those updates for specific groups of computers. Now I've obviously given this one for all computers, but I could just have easily have set it so that just the test lab got that, so I could try it on the test lab first. Once I had the bugs worked out and that was working, then I could go back and apply it for different groups of machines. So it's very easy to approve those installs for specific machines, and we can also tell it how soon it has to get installed. The user can postpone that if I give them the ability to or it's just going to go and get it done as soon as possible. But this is the time that it would mandatory install. It'll prompt them if I have as soon as possible. It won't prompt them, just tell them it's going to do it. Otherwise, it'll prompt them and nag them until they give in, unless they go past whatever time this is, in which case it's just going to go ahead and install. So any questions on the updates? That's a pretty big piece of the product, actually.
No, not really. Actually, that looks pretty good though. I mean, basically, having come from a enterprise environment where you were actually, I mean, I used to work at Comcast in the past, and I know how their update system stuff used to work using like SMS and things like that. So I mean, this all looks fairly similar to that stuff.
Yeah, if you've used System Center, this is built on System Center, right? So, and SMS became System Center, obviously. So if you've used System Center, this is System Center, and honestly, every 6 months it's going to look more like System Center. And the update that came out in, when was that, July or August, we saw a lot of things come out that made it look a lot more like System Center than it had before, and I think the roadmap is just going to keep looking more and more like that. So that's a little bit about the updates. Endpoint protection. We actually set up endpoint protection in the policies, and we'll go ahead and look at that after a little bit. But this is where you come to see the malware, so you can see exactly what's gotten out into your system and who's gotten it and how it got resolved. So it looks like Steve Jacobs. We're going to have to get on Steve for us. So it looks like Steve's got some viruses going on. And if I didn't know better, I would say that he needs to install a patch for Java. That's just my guess, but I'm thinking that's a pretty good guess. Is that sometime on the 17th, his version of Java stopped really working out real well for him. So kind of, I'd be looking at that. So we need to get to Steve and find out what's going on. Looks like some of these are actually running, some are blocking. The endpoint protection is a core part of Intune. It is the forefront endpoint protection, a special version of that comes with Intune. It is an excellent endpoint protection from two perspectives. First of all, its detection is very, very good. It does a great job of detecting, and it's right up there with the best of them. It's not always the top one for detection, but it's always, just splitting hairs, really close up there with all the top contenders from Gartner's ratings of the detection. Where it has pretty much all of them beat is that it's very kind to Windows. And the way it actually does file processing is through interfaces in the operating system. So it's not trying to, it's actually running way down there in the core ring zero, really working with the operating system in the way it was intended to work. And so it's much lighter on your PCs than virtually anything I've ever seen besides it. So it really does a great job of staying out of the way until you need it, and then getting up and preventing things from happening to you when you do need it. So just a little bit about the endpoint protection. Intune does manage the endpoint protection. We'll see the policies that you set there. It does do the updates and make sure that the definitions are updated, and it obviously does the malware reporting here. Let's take a look here. So just the malware reporting looks like I have this set up so that when malware shows up in any of our PCs, I get an email that lets me know about that. And so it looks like Tuesday it did in fact send me an email. It goes down here into this Intune folder. I just have a rule set, so it doesn't always pop in my inbox, but I do know that I can get there, and from any machine anywhere, all I have to do is just click on that button or click on that link, and that'll take me right into the Intune Management Console and allow me to take care of that problem. So it's really easy if you have multiple administrators, you're working from a kiosk somewhere, wherever you are, you'll be able to get to these alerts. You'll be able to get alerted on your phone or wherever you are and be able to get here and take care of it. So that's just real nice integration with email. So I wanted to show you that real quick. We'll go on to alerts, and here in alerts I can actually set up alerts and notifications. So I can there's a whole lot of different kinds of alerts that I have here. If you have duplicate IP addresses, I have that one enabled. And when I have any computer that sees that there's a duplicate IP address on the network now, it's going to go ahead and send me an alert, or it's going to trip an alert. And I'll show you exactly how you send those alerts to the right people. But obviously you can see there's a whole lot of stuff about your machines that's actually looking at the event log. And when it sees things in that event log, it's going to be able to alert you about what's going on that machine. So if there's specific errors that you're needing to see ahead of time or know when they happen before your users call you, this is a great way of getting those. Things like low disk space, low memory, those kinds of things will show up here if you configure them. So here I'll do my own. Here's mine, and here's all the recipients that I have. I can add recipients. There's all the people. Here's the notification rules. So I think I actually have myself set up for all notifications, and that's really not so bad for me because I have them all go to that special box in my inbox, so they aren't bothering me, but they're all there. And I can see them, and I do get notification of everything that goes on in the system. I could turn that down so that I only get critical alerts. It looks like we have some people a lot of people that get the critical alerts. Remote assistance requests, those are a special kind of alert. And it looks like both Steve and I get those. So when somebody needs remote assistance, I'll show you that in a little bit. So when somebody needs remote assistance, this is where we select who gets those remote assistance requests. A few other things here. The software download. This is where I would go to actually download the executable that I run on my PCs to enroll them in my Intune. It's a setup that actually sets up the Intune console on the machine, as well as a certificate that associates that installation with your Intune subscription. You probably want to distribute that through, you can do it through email. You can do it through any secure mechanism. You don't want to publish that on the internet, because if somebody gets a hold of that and it gets out, that certificate will enroll whichever machine executes that file on your subscription, and I don't think you want that in every case. So I want to be a little bit careful about that. You can set up who your administrators are and who's actually going to be able to, what those people are going to be able to do. You can give people read only and read-write access, and then that's for the service. And then for the tenant, this is actually who can set up the new service and actually pay for the service. That's the tenant administrator. That's John, and I don't have rights to change that because I'm not the tenant administrator. So there is some security set up here. Like I said, we have 20 gig in the demo has 2 gig, but you have 20 gig of software storage for your distribution of packages. Those are update packages as well as software packages. Anyway, so let's move on to software real quick. I can see all the machines that have that I've deployed software to, and it looks like one of those deployments failed. So I've got to go fix that package and find out why it failed to install and fix it so it will install. It'll also tell me all the software that's detected in my environment. and I can do it by installation count. I can look at it by publisher. But yeah, it looks like we have 576 detected software packages in our environment of, what was that, 15 or 20 machines? That's probably pretty normal, actually. But you can really see exactly what's installed on each machine. You can go to the software and see all the machines it's installed on, when it was checked and when it was last there. So that's the detected software. We also have the managed software. And in managed software, these are 2 packages that I have uploaded and given to put in Intune, and now I can distribute those to groups of machines. So I can actually deploy that, and I can go say, gosh, where do I want to install that? Obviously, I've just been testing that. I have that in the test lab, but I could change that and send that to a larger group of machines if I wanted to. This is where our software is. Right now, you're seeing we're a partner, so we have a 25 seat Intune subscription that Microsoft gives us for free. So we don't actually have any agreements, but this is where you would add more subscriptions so that you could have more machines. It's just how you manage your subscription. Policy is a big deal, and policies are actually very, very powerful. Let's look at a couple of these policies here. First policy we'll look at is the Intune Center policy. We'll look at the Intune Center here in just a minute, but you'll see we have this is the person that's going to be named, and the support information that's going to show up in the Intune console. When one of your users opens that up, they'll see this information. So that's how that's going to install itself. Gives us a lot of ability to manage the endpoint protection. So I don't know what you're using for antivirus today. What are you using for antivirus today? Ernie, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I was having an issue trying to get the thing to unmute on me.
No problem. What are you using for antivirus today?
Well, most of the computers that we have that people are using are things that get purchased at like a retail store. So a lot of them have like basic, Windows 7, Home Premium, stuff like that. Antivirus-wise, typically I've been trying to stay more towards the Microsoft stuff. So right now, I think we're all using Security Essentials.
Excellent. So you'll see a lot of similarities in terms of how it acts on the machine, but you'll be able to manage it centrally, right? Security Essentials you can't really manage quite this way,
right?
And you don't really have the reporting, so you'll be able to. This policy is really powerful. So this is going to get applied to all the machines. You actually can have multiple policies for multiple groups of machines. I just happen to have one, but you could have 3 or 4 different policies and set up groups of machines that each of those policies would apply to. But you kind of see here some of the types of things that you would love to be able to manage on your machines about how antivirus works. And here you can manage it very specifically for all your machines. And when the updates come and how that gets worked. Network bandwidth is pretty nice. You have the ability to this is actually for all of the updates that are going to come across to Intune. Here we have our set so that during business hours, it's limited to 10 KB, and other times it uses all the available bandwidth. So right now I could, if I was updating, I was downloading something and it was immediate and it had to come across to me, I could probably still hold this conference. I wouldn't notice it was coming down, but it would be trickling down while we were talking. So that works out awfully nicely. We'll go look at the other policy, which is the firewall policy. And which version of Windows do you have? Mostly Windows 7?
Yeah, I think almost all of them are Windows 7 at this point. I think I might have like 4 people that are still on XP.
Okay. So Windows 7 has a phenomenal firewall built in. And again, that firewall is so well integrated with the IP stack and the OS that it's a shame not to use it. A lot of people end up not using it and going with separate firewalls in the enterprise just because historically there hasn't been a great management interface for the Microsoft firewall, or, well, a well-known one. There actually have been some great ones, just not well-known ones. But this allows you to manage that firewall, again, having as many policies for as many different groups of computers as you like. And this is all of the things that, well, I hesitate to say everything that's configurable in there, but it's a tremendous list of things that you might want to enable or disable or set on how that Microsoft firewall is going to work on those remote machines. So works out pretty nicely for us. I set it to enable RDS so I can connect to remote machines. Anyway, this is how that firewall is going to act on the client, and that's pretty nice to be able to manage that locally. Move on to reports real quickly. So one of the things that companies really need and can be problematic for companies is figuring out how much software they've bought versus how much software they deployed. And that kind of falls into 2 categories. One is you want to make sure you know if you're about to get audited or if there's some problem. You want to have a real clear picture of where you are. So sometimes that's kind of a CYA kind of thing. And the other thing the reason why people do that is they just want to know if they're over licensed, right? And maybe you've bought more licenses than you need, or you want to go see what kinds of licenses you do need to buy if you're doing an upgrade. Maybe not everybody's using that software that you bought. So you can come in here and you can actually run reports, and I could go look at a group of computers and say, gosh, I want to see just these computers. I want to see all of the Adobe software that I have installed, and we'll just include all of it. But you see, we could put whatever we want. And forgive me, I might be going kind of fast. Sometimes I go fast and the meeting doesn't catch up to me. So if I'm scrolling through something and it doesn't show up on your screen, tell me to slow down. So here I actually have a report. Sorry. Here I have a report that has all of the Adobe software in my environment. And I can take this and I can drill in if I want to and see exactly what's installed, all the computers it's installed on. If I need to have that information for some reason, I can print that. I can also export it as a CSV into Excel and as an HTML if I choose. Anyway, and export that and.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
The Adobe stuff is, to me, what really has improved in this latest version. The ability for updates from folks other than Microsoft.
The biggest difference was there was no deploying your own patches or your own software before. So what's changed is the ability to deploy patches and software. That was not in the previous version. I think we're seeing today it's all about the desktop, and I think one of the things we're going to see coming forward is that you will be able to manage some servers as well, but that's not been announced, and it's just our expectation about what's going to happen. Hasn't actually happened yet. Anyway, just a little bit about the reporting that you can do. There's some other some other kind, and I don't have any license agreements. Again, we're a Microsoft partner, so our licensing structure is a little different than most companies. But I can go and select a Microsoft agreement if I have a Microsoft Select agreement or an open enrollment agreement. I can get those from my LAR, and I can just import that directly into Intune. And once I do that, I can then run a report and see how much I have installed versus what I have bought of everything on that agreement. So it's really nice. That information doesn't go back to Microsoft, just for your consumption. And you can do it for other providers besides Microsoft as well. So you can just take your license agreements, as long as they're in the right Excel format, and pump those into Intune, and Intune will give you a report of purchase versus installed. Which turns out to be a pretty nice thing to be able to get. There was one thing I didn't show you up here. I probably should have. And let's see who I want to. So here's Groucho. That's another machine I have on my network. And there's Groucho. He looks like a happy machine. And let's see, I'm going to come down here and find Groucho and Intune. I say, okay, well, okay, Groucho, it's time for you to restart. So I can actually go and run the scans, update the virus definitions, or in this case, I can actually send a restart request to that machine. And in a few minutes here, that machine will pop up a little message telling whoever's logged on to the console of the machine that the machine is about to reboot in 15 minutes. And at the end of that 15 minutes, the machine will actually reboot. So we'll leave that going here for just now. There it comes. Oh, it took 30 minutes. It used to be 15.
And that restart thing, that's not, you don't get the option to, to define how much time it is?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I haven't figured out how to do that yet, and and it just changed from 15 to 30 so without my knowledge. So last week it was 15 and this week it's 30. So I'm assuming that today that's something you'd have to call Microsoft to get them to change that for you. But those things are changing pretty frequently, and you may find that that's something that they give you the ability to change. Anyway, I think we kind of went over most everything I wanted to cover and kind of did a survey there, Ernie. And I'm delighted to, at this point, kind of stop talking for a minute, and maybe we can, if there's anything you want to ask questions about or see where you want to go or how things work, I'm happy to have more of a discussion here.
One of the only other things so the updates and all that other stuff is good. One of the other things that I tend to find myself having to do a lot is to remote into somebody's computer.
Okay.
Does it have, aside from being able to say a user wants me to connect to them and do a remote assistance connection, is there anything in there that says, okay, here's all the computers that are set up in your management piece, you can click on this one and go and remote to it?
So it does not have I get push and pull are not necessarily the right words, but hopefully they get it across. It has a pull, meaning that the user can request a remote assistance session. I probably should show you the Intune Center here. So here's the Intune Center, and if I go in here, I can see my protection, and actually in the policy we saw that I could probably want to pass it pretty fast, but from the policy I can tell the user whether or not they even get to see this, and if they do get to see it, which options they can control. So I can have this be totally automated or give them some autonomy there. Here's where I actually have the information, and here's, if I'm as the user, I would go here and I send a remote assistance request, and that's going to come through here in just a minute. Actually, it came through pretty fast, didn't it? So there's that remote assistance request just showed up, and I would go in, and since it's on the machine that I'm working from, I'm not sure that's going to work out real well. But I don't know if I can remote control my own machine from my own machine. But coming here, what I'm going to see is that I actually open up that console, and I see the remote assistance request, and I have the ability to actually open that. And, well, since I'm on my own machine, I can't do that, but it would normally give me a place I could click here to do an Easy Assist session. So Easy Assist, I don't know if you've used that. It's a lot like Microsoft Live Meeting, but it's kind of a special version of Live Meeting that does remote assistance real well. So it is a pull. There is no way of going and connecting to a machine remotely if that user hasn't requested that you do remote assistance.
Okay.
I suppose if you really wanted to get tricky about it, you could probably create some little software update or something that was just a batch file that triggered that request. But honestly, it's just not meant for that. You know, it'd be pushing rope trying to get that to really be your remote access to the machine. Kind of, you know.
Yeah, I mean today what I tend to use is I use log me in or something like that I have installed.
Those things work great. Absolutely, yeah. And this is not really a replacement for that. It does, it's an easy way of from wherever you are getting to your machines when you need remote assistance. But no, it's really not a replacement for log me in.
Okay. All right. I think other than that, I think you covered everything.
It's not all that complicated. I mean, it does a whole lot of stuff, and when you think about it, I don't know what your experience was in the enterprise of system management, desktop management, but those were hundreds of thousands of dollars projects, sometimes $1 million projects to build out the infrastructure that would do all this. It is possible to do all this from on-premise and get the ability to do it outside the firewall, but again, that's problematic, and it's pretty slick. It's really
Right.
pretty slick, especially for somebody like yourself or ourselves, where we have a few people in offices, but we have a lot of people like myself that work from home.
Right. And I mean, being as it is another cloud service that's being offered through Microsoft and whatnot, do you know if there's any plans for it to be wrapped in with an Office 365 platform stuff, or? Like I said, we do already use Office 365 today.
Yeah, I don't believe so. And the reason I don't believe so is, first of all, I haven't heard any inkling of that. And second of all, there's a whole host of services which have been and continue to be separate. Things like Azure, things like some of the Forefront online protection that's hosted. And those things just really haven't merged into a whole package. I think that's where Microsoft's looking for their partners like CloudStrategies to work with our customers, talk about what you need, find the right set of services, and put that together for you.
Okay.
So just a little bit about us. We do quite a bit of Office 365 work, and if you haven't already selected a partner of record in Office 365, we would very much appreciate being able to work with you and be your partner of record. That allows us to get all of your notifications from Microsoft and act on your behalf when you need support with Microsoft. So if you don't have a partner of record already, that's something we'd be very happy to do with you. And we do a lot of work with Office 365. That's our primary work. In terms of Intune, there's a couple of things we offer. We obviously will help you get it set up and running and get your subscription going. We also offer software packaging to help you. If you don't want to do the packaging of all those updates and software packages, but you still want to be able to deploy them, we can help you with that. And the other thing we do have is we have a managed service partner that we work with that will actually take over management of your PCs and do the day-to-day management and status updates and checking of those machines if you don't want to do all that yourself.
Yeah, I mean, since we're as small as we are right now, I don't have necessarily a problem doing those pieces myself. I mean, as it is, we're a managed service provider for broadband internet solutions and whatnot for retail stores and whatnot. So we very much understand the managed service side of things.
Okay, great.
Hey, Ernie, when do you have an idea when you want to deploy this, when you want to get started, or if you do?
I mean, I don't. I have to talk. I have to talk with the guys that are higher up the chain than I am on, who handle cost and things like that on if they want to go with something like this. I mean, I'm looking at it from the perspective of, I do a lot of maintaining of our PCs on an almost daily basis. Using things like, log me in and trying to fix virus issues and making sure people's software is up to date. And so, from my perspective, I mean, this is what I need, is something like this to handle all those pieces that I'm already doing that I'm doing by hand right now.
Yeah. Is it 27 licenses total? Do you have a license count?
I believe it's 27 PCs at this point that I have that I'm managing. So, and the only other thing, I mean, I know when I was reading on the Microsoft website, I'd seen that they said something about that an Intune subscription includes, I guess, an upgrade license to Windows 7 Enterprise.
That's exactly right. So it's a subscription license, and it is the step up to enterprise. So if you have I sound like a Microsoft licensing person here. If you have a qualifying version of the Microsoft operating system, and that's any of the Pro or Ultimate versions of XP, Vista, or Windows 7.
Right.
The home versions don't count, but any of the Pro versions, you have the ability to step that up to the enterprise version of Windows 7 and upgrade your machine to Windows 7 Enterprise from Vista, XP, or a lower version of Windows 7.
Right, and I think that's where for us, where we'd end up getting bit is because the majority of the machines that we have, I know that a good majority of them are probably on like Windows 7 Home Premium. So, and in a Home Premium, from what I was reading on the Intune site, like, when you have Home Premium, I don't even think that the Intune stuff really works with that. Everything I was seeing was saying everything like Pro and Forward, basically, or Business and Forward.
So it does in fact work, and I think I'm still sharing my screen. It does in fact work. However, you don't have the rights to update that to Office, or to the enterprise version of Windows.
Okay, and so aside from the not upgrading the enterprise version of Windows, I mean, so with a Home Premium working with it, are there limitations, I guess, when you're on Home Premium that you won't run into if you're on something like Professional or Ultimate?
I would have to go through that and look. I believe that there may be some of those policies that address features that are only found in the professional versions. So some of those policy settings some of those policies might not be relevant on the Home Premium edition.
Because I know when you're doing, if you're just managing Windows by itself, I know that there's definitely things like being able to manage policies and stuff like that. Standalone, you can't even really do on Home Premium, but you can in something like Professional or Ultimate or things like that. So I didn't know if the applying of policies and stuff like that all still works the way it should or the way that you would expect it when things like that, branch cache disabled. I mean, obviously, branch cache is for domain-based stuff, but so we
can kind of see how that works here, and we can see that some of it's not applicable.
Okay.
Because there is no key management or remote administration, or some of the things don't exist on that version of Windows.
But you can still do all the things like deploying software and things like that.
Yeah, and I'm with you on this one, Ernie, in that Microsoft's official documentation all says that it isn't supported, and that makes me nervous only because while it might work today, they could decide
They could
that
drop it in the future.
well, they could just do an update that causes it to not work the way it did today, tomorrow, and you wouldn't have much recourse if they told you today that it wasn't supported, right?
Right.
So yeah.
And that's the only thing that would really have me worried with things is that, I know the majority of our environment are, they're PCs that have been bought at retail, that they're, Windows 7 Home Premium or anything like that. It was basically what we could get when a new employee was getting brought on.
Right.
So while yes, I want to try to consolidate and make things easier for myself for managing them and everything, I don't know how likely that will end up being if I'm going to end up having to take on additional costs to get them upgraded to something like, professional on all the machines, just to then turn around and use, all the features of Intune on top of that.
Yeah, let me see if something's come out recently.
Because that's
There's
really my
something recent that came out, because originally it said it didn't work. It always has worked. It just won't. They're not eligible for the step up to enterprise. Let me see if I can find
Right, but not being eligible for the step up to enterprise, that would be perfectly fine with me as long as I knew that all the rest of the pieces in Intune would work.
Right.
You definitely don't want to go through and pay for a service and then not be able to use, the majority of the features of it.
Right. Yeah, so there is an SP3 requirement for XP as well. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, that's fine, because I know the people I do have on XP are definitely on SP3.
Yeah, well, this statement here from Microsoft is clearly untrue. In that you can install Intune. I think it's true if you look at it as you can install the upgrade today, and I don't know what it looks like. There's a lot of song and dance about this, and there may not be a great answer today.
Right.
Looks like the discussion we're having today, which is it seems to work. And Microsoft coming back saying it's not supported. It's about where it sits. Let me see if I can find out that for you, officially where that's going to go. If it is going to be that you can manage the machines, but you don't have the ability to update, or if it's that it really isn't supported and the ability to manage machines may go away.
Yeah, because that would be a big thing for me is knowing that, one, how much of it, basically, how much of the Intune services is supported in a home premium.
Well, today it's everything but the policies that don't apply to that machine.
Okay. Yeah, because that was one thing I was trying to figure out is, what do you lose by not being on Professional, Ultimate, Enterprise when you're on a home premium environment? What's the difference?
Yeah,
and I couldn't find anything that showed a breakdown of what those differences would be.
Well, our experience tells us that we're able to deploy software. We're able to do all the reporting, clearly. And we're able to deploy policies. But we aren't able to deploy policies that control things that don't exist. Obviously, that makes sense. So.
Hey, Ernie, what is your email address? Do you mind?
eperez@industryretail.com.
Where are you based?
I'm in Delaware.
Okay. I'm going to send you my contact information. This is Steffo. And then Mark can communicate to me, and I can send you what our answer is as soon as we find out.
Okay.
Also, let me know, too, if you want me to put together a link. It's a very short proposal for 27 licenses. I'm happy to do that. It takes you right to the site so that you get the right licensing, the right pricing, that kind of thing.
Okay. The other thing I was wondering, because if I want to be able to show any of this or anything to anybody, I know you guys were doing the recording for the call. Is there any way I could get a copy of it?
Yes.
Yeah, we can post it somewhere. They're a little big. The other thing you can do is you can, and by all means, go ahead and do that. If you want to kick the tires yourself, you can do a trial. They give you a 30-day trial up to, I want to say 15 machines, and it's a great environment to kick the tires.
Right.
You can sign up for a trial, and that's even if you only have a couple machines in there, you still get the flavor of what's there.
Right.
Yeah, Ernie, I can send you a link for the trial too.
Okay. Yeah, I might give the trial a try, but yeah, I mean, if I could get a copy of the the webinar thing that we did today, that would be great, because that way I could show them, some of the things that were going through and showing me.
Mm-hmm. Good. We'll do that, and I'll follow up with a few of these things as soon as I can get them.
Okay, that sounds great.
Ernie, thanks a lot. We appreciate your time. Thanks, Mark, as well, for yours. I appreciate you guys, you keeping it real, Mark, and getting into Ernie's particular needs. And, yeah, Ernie, expect an email from me at least later today. I might not get the recording link to you right away because that takes a little while, but we'll get that to you shortly.
All right, that sounds great.
Great, Ernie. Have a great afternoon, and thank you, everybody.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks. You guys have a good day, too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.